What's up, Coach?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not
Coach,
much. You doing okay today?
Man, I'm good. I'm good, man. Just getting ready for Christmas with these little ones, man. So, how's things, guys?
you have three, right?
I got three, and I got one coming in about 2 weeks.
Hey, I got one coming, I guess, in not 2 weeks. I guess, what, 20 weeks?
What do you? The first
Yeah,
one, or
the first.
yeah, you look young. That's what I was gonna say. First one. Yeah, they're man. One is awesome. They're all awesome, but going from two to three is a game changer. Three to four, find out. So, but yeah, we're at January 19, so but it's good. But they're young. They're 2, 4, and 6. So
Oh, wow.
The oldest is Case.
Cass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That
what
was
is,
my mom's last name before she got married.
Okay.
But I had him and Murray right before we left.
Coach, I got to tell you this. I'm sorry to interrupt. So my brother's name is my mom's maiden name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the name, and then I wanted to keep something in the family. And so my daughter's named after my wife's grandma. And then you get your third kid, and you're like, all right, let's just figure out a name. You know? Um,
So, Coach, do you have any advice for Nate here? I mean, how is he supposed to be a father and coach basketball at the same time?
I jokingly say the more kids you have, the worse coach you become. So, my when I had no kids, we were about 31 and 2.
Yeah.
And but no, it's you got to be able to have a balance, though. I think that's really, really key, though. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to,
Really?
yeah, yeah. I know that all area because I'm from Dalton. So my
Mhm.
two high school buddies went to Covenant.
Gotcha.
Um,
And you went to
yeah,
Oglethorpe for a year?
yeah, for a year. I made it about a half semester with the team, then I quit. And
Well, so, Coach, we were reading your Wikipedia page before we got here, and it said that, and I wanted to ask you about it. So, you went to Oglethorpe for about a half a year, and then I guess you decided you want to start coaching.
yeah,
How did that come about?
um, the biggest thing is I went down there really trying to major in communications. And Oglethorpe's great academic school, and had some opportunities at Division III, Sewanee, Oglethorpe, Hampton, Sydney possibilities, things like that. And so went to Oglethorpe, and it is the hardest school. I was a 4.0 in high school, made all A's, valedictorian, the whole deal. It's the hardest school I've ever been to in my life. I mean, you just don't take psychology there. You take like foundations of ABCDE psychology. I mean, it's just but I wanted to kind of go into communications first, like I was saying, and then kind of transferred to where, hey, maybe I want to coach first and then I'll do communications afterwards, the TV stuff afterwards. And so, but kind of halfway through, right around Thanksgiving, getting into the December period, just decided, man, not to play anymore. Ironically, the coach and I just kind of, he's kind of like, hey, I don't know if I want everybody like you or nobody like you. So, I was kind of a fireball, and but obviously he was a terrific coach there, though. He did a great job at Oglethorpe, legendary guy there, Jack Berkshire, and it just didn't work out, and kids transfer, and sometimes there's a lot of great stories out there, and I didn't transfer to go from Alabama to Duke. I transferred from Oglethorpe to Alabama to be a manager and get around Division I basketball, and it worked out for me.
It's awesome.
Man, it sounds like it did. Obviously, given your pedigree and the success you've had, what was it like being at Bama as a student assistant and trying to just figure out a way to get into this coaching thing?
Um, I think that's the biggest thing. Being at Alabama, I was there for 5 years. Was around really, really good players. Obviously, terrific coach, and David Hobbs, who was one of the elite defensive coaches in the country. I think my first year there, we were number one in the country in defensive field goal percentage. I think 35, 36%. But we had some really good front court players: Roy Rogers, Antonio McDyess, Jason Caffey. I mean, those guys were terrific. The SEC was so good back then. From that standpoint, Arkansas won a national championship when I was in college. Florida went to a Final Four. Arkansas, Kentucky national champions. I mean, that 93 to 98 window in the SEC, Kentucky won it twice, matter of fact, Arkansas in 95, Arkansas Final Four in 94. The league was brutal. And, we had some phenomenal teams, went to the second round some, finished 12-4 in the SEC one year. You'd think it'd be good enough to win it, but I think it got us second in the West because Arkansas was so good. I think they were 14-2, but they had Corliss and Scotty Thurman, and Kentucky had all those guys. 96 team, that was the best team I've probably ever sat down on a bench and watched in person. But it was a great experience. It really it taught me about how important the players are. Of just trying to connect with those guys. I spent a ton of time in the gym with those guys, just rebounding, what can I do to just kind of help, fit in, not really concerned about, are you going to travel or this and that. It was more just, man, what can I do and learn? My one regret, I kind of off and on kept a journal. I wish I would have kept a journal throughout my whole time, not just for the basketball piece, but just for the stories, because we still got a group thread, like a Bama group thread that has, former players and then a couple of us former managers in it. And, we text and laugh and talk all the time. But those were great experiences. But I thought it helped me become more diverse, just being around so many different cultures, so many different people, so many different ethnicities. I think that was really good. And then, unfortunately, my last year there, Coach Hobbs, resigned, and they moved in a different direction. And then a guy, Thad Fitzpatrick, he got me hooked up with Billy Kennedy, and I was fortunate to work for a great, great man. My first job, and the best advice I got is make yourself invaluable to the person you work for, and be able to do every part of a program. Because you never know where you're going to be. You're going to be at Lee College. You're going to be at Alabama. You're going to be at Iowa State. You're going to be at Murray State. You're going to be at Tulane, Southeastern Louisiana, Centenary, Tennessee State. You don't know where you're going to be. And so you've got to you got to have enough humility to be able to get in the trenches and do a little bit of everything. And, I've sold calendar ads and I've, all the way up to recruiting good players and winning Big 12 championships.
Yeah. I'm going to go back on, for 1 second. So you talked about you did say one of the best advice you ever got was, just being invaluable or being valuable whenever or whatever a coach throws at you. But you also mentioned players and the importance of getting to know players. And I guess being with them and being very valuable to the players. So this is actually one of the best advice that I ever received that really helped me is actually from Boom, Asa.
Yeah.
And basically said that the student experience is more important than anything else. So I just try to help the players have the best experience.
Yeah.
And so like when I was thinking about that, so last year as the GA, I was like, how can you make that happen? And it's like, well, get them brownies. If they ask for an order, like instead of just getting pizza, if they want thin crust, just order thin crust. It's not going to cost anymore. It just takes a long time. And so like doing stuff like that, I think is just like extremely valuable. And you said, especially like at Bama, you were just trying to get to know the players. And so I think just like little ways like that was just like huge in my development even. So
yeah, I fell asleep playing video games in their apartments many times. And, but those guys all knew that they could, if they needed something at 1 a.m, or they needed somebody to go rebound, or they needed to drive to class because they were running late, they knew I would be there. And I think the coaches knew that as well. That's just part of it. I think that's the one thing. I heard a great thing. I don't know if I read it or somebody told me this, but Mark Adams, the new coach at Texas Tech, I think terrific coach, phenomenal defensive mind, phenomenal coach, has been successful everywhere he's been. He has 13 different candy dishes on his desk. And so he gets the best, the top, your favorite candy, because every kid loves candy. Yeah. And he does, a lot of coaches have one candy dish there, maybe Starburst, maybe Snickers, whatever it may be, Jolly Ranchers. He gets, hey, Asa, what's your favorite, Russ, what's your favorite candy? Yeah. He has 13 different dishes. Because the one thing, I think that's the one thing, sometimes you can get caught so much in preparing, watching tape, and this is something I'll, really focus on when I hopefully get back into it in the spring is, man, at the end of the day, man, you're going to do what you do. And the better you can do it is the more connected those guys are to you, and the more they connected to each other. And those are the best teams I've had. When I went from an assistant coach to a head coach at Murray State, those guys knew me so well. They trusted me so well. And we only had people, people talk about that team like we had all these players back. We only brought back 25% of our scoring, and we ended up getting as high as 7th in the country that year. But they were so committed to one another, so committed to not letting us down, that I think that goes a long way. And when you can get that kind of buy-in, and that's huge. And I think that'll be my biggest focus. I made a portfolio. In the portfolio, there's a book, and it's called the kind of the under caption of the title of the book. It says Success to Significance. I've been a head coach 10 years and had a lot of great moments. I'm in a good place. Obviously don't want to be fired, but I think also firing can help you. I mean, you can see there's so many bounce back stories. Bill Belichick, Doc Rivers, Terry Francona, somebody, Kevin Eastman sent me, he'd say, when I got fired, is look at all these successful guys in Boston. And so, because it reevaluates, what you needed to do better. It's not that, it's not the whole chapter. The whole book wasn't bad. There was one chapter that was bad. And, the story's going to continue, and that's the biggest focus. But for the story to continue and be great again and to have a great, finish, I think it's got to be about those guys and the connection with those guys and making sure. But I think all my guys that have coached for me, they know. I mean, Donovan Jackson played for me 2017 and 18. He won a Big 12 championship with us in 17. And he texted me the other day, just, hey, coach, can you give me advice on this and that? And I think that's huge.
Coach, you just hit on something.
I just want to summarize it really quick. So basically serve whatever position you're in and make people feel special.
Yeah.
Is that what you're basically?
Yeah, I think, be a.
Oh, hang on. He kind of.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hang on, Coach. You kind of cut out right there. Were you about to say be a sponge?
And you're muted. You're muted, Coach.
All right. Man, I'm sorry. I didn't know if that's me. I was telling Asa before this, we're in Kentucky, and, with those tornadoes and the devastation, like we don't have cable and internet right now. Fortunately, we've got power and water, and obviously there's a ton of people in worse situations than when we are. And so I'm working. I never even knew what a hotspot was. Now I've learned what a hotspot was, so I'm on a hotspot, and hopefully this can take me home. But I think the biggest thing, when I was an assistant coach, the only thing I thought about was how can I make Billy Kennedy successful?
Yeah,
that's what that consumed me. Not the next job, not the next game, not am I getting the attention or am I known as a great assistant? How can I make Billy look great? From preparation for games, through recruiting, through winning games, through community, even something as simple as, man, with Billy Kennedy's team camp, when it had his name on it, it had to be elite and it had to be phenomenal because that's who we're representing every single day. And I think that's critical. I mean, you want people. I think Fran Fraschilla had a great quote. I saw him tweet one time is surround yourself with people that care about your success more than you do. And I think that's great. And that was my mentality as an assistant. It was, hey, how do I make, because if we're winning, then in the end game, everybody's going to benefit from it. There's other coaches on the staff, yourself, and those players, because they know everybody's in sync and aligned.
That's great, Coach.
Coach, you've hit on so much. I know you mentioned how getting fired and a lot of this, obviously, game to game. You think about wins and losses as a coach, but there's also wins and losses along the way. I was working in the corporate world out of college. I had a job, and I got fired from my job. 8 months into it, out of college, and then but it led me to where I am now. Now I'm coaching, right? Had I not gotten fired from that job, now, I wouldn't be coaching at all. And I think even that small 8-month experience kind of prepared me for, for what I'm going through day to day and what I want to do with this coaching thing. And it's just, it's crazy how all that lines up, and you can learn so much from even losing, even on a day to day. Obviously you never want, you want that win column to be more than the L column. But you learn so much just from taking losses sometimes. And I think when you're coaching, you have to keep that in mind. That kind of prepares you. So, and not to bring up losses or anything, but you've also had, success at many other places. Kind of talk to us about when you were at Murray, being an assistant coach at a program like Murray. I saw a stat one time where Murray State had 22 20-win seasons, straight, just consecutive. And you've been an assistant there. Now you're moving into a head coaching role at the same place. Is that tough? I mean, there's got to be some sort of angst to it, taking over a program that you've been an assistant at and kind of being in a different role with the same guys. What was that like?
Yeah, I think going from an assistant to head coach, in some ways, when you do it at the school you're at, I think it's there's pressure everywhere, but I think it's easier when you go from an assistant to a head coach at your own school, because you understand the lay of the land. There's no learning curve right away. Yeah, there's a learning curve from being a head coach from that standpoint, but I know where everything's on campus. I know how we travel. I know how we operate. I know how things are done. I know why this program's been successful. I know all the ins and outs of this program. And and like my old boss said, when you get the job is, a job like Murray State as your first job, you're getting evaluated in front of everybody. Everybody follows Murray State. Mm-hmm. The OVC, and it's unfortunate that all these teams have left the league. Mm-hmm. When you look at how good this league has been, or that league has been the last 10 years, you talk about pros starting with Lester Hudson, Isaiah Cannon, Kenneth Fareed, and then you kind of finish up on the back end. You got Cameron Payne, Ian Clark, Dylan Windler, Robert Covington, John Morant. Yep. I mean, it's phenomenal winning games in the NCAA tournament. And for that league not to take off, yep, it's disappointing from being a part of that league for 10 years, five as an assistant, 9 years, I guess, 5 as an assistant and 4 as a head coach from that standpoint. But I think in ways it's easier because you already have the kids buy-in from a standpoint of they know that you're in it with them. You know what I mean? The best story I could probably tell, and I'm pretty open, hey, I've had good, bad, ugly, but at the end of the day, man, there's been a lot more good than the bad and the ugly. Mm-hmm. And so, we're my first year, we're practicing, and I don't know how good we're going to be. I have no idea that we're going to be destined to be number 7 in the country and the last unbeaten team, 23-0, and Dick Vitale coming to do a game in Murray, Kentucky, but we had a kid on our team, Zay Jackson, and he was a fireball. I love him to death, and he still communicates with me to this day. But he was a hard one to handle when he first got there as a freshman. But he made Isaiah Cannon better because he thought he was better than Isaiah Cannon. He went at him every day. But so the guys are arguing in practice. I finally throw him out, and that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I'm a little bit more even keel and kind of talk them through it. But I said, man, we got to get out of here. So I go to coach's locker room. I'm sitting down there, and a kid named Ivan Aska, and he was a 4-year phenomenal player for us down from Florida, from Boyd Anderson. And he popped in the coach's locker room, and he said, hey, coach, you do whatever you need to do. I got your back. And we're going to take care of this. Mm-hmm. And, man, once he said that, it's like this whole, thing was lifted. Mm-hmm. And this aura was lifted off you, and then it was like, all right, let's go to work. And, man, it was on and going from there. And those guys were bought in. And so I think that can help when you go to a new place. Obviously, you're replacing somebody. There's a lot of different factors. I mean, I'm going to be the first one to say going in there to Iowa State and replacing Fred Hoiberg, that's not easy, because – you're the one outsider coming in. Everybody else is there, coaches, players. And so that is very, very tough. And like I said, that's why, I mean, first 3 out of 4 years, we won a couple championships and went to the tournament. And, obviously the COVID year, people look at the COVID year, but, we went through a stretch. We played with 6 guys for a couple of weeks. COVID was COVID, and it was tough. But, but the competitor of you, obviously you want a chance to, redeem yourself and get back to your winning ways.
Yeah, man.
So at Iowa State, it wasn't like it was all bad.
Yeah, that's what. But everybody gets caught up.
Crazy thing, Coach. Before COVID, you were rolling.
Yeah, that's what everybody gets caught up. And we had, it's fair if we had some guys leave early for the draft, and that's part of it. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, Taylor Horton-Tucker, and so you gotta. The problem is it's the last thing people are going to see, and you gotta deal with that. They're having a phenomenal year. The new coach has done a phenomenal job, really getting a defensive identity and toughness to the team. Their guards have been terrific. Really happy Tyrese Hunter stayed. I called him and told him when I got fired, this is a special place and you can do special things here. Because in basketball, I do think, I mean, you can flip it in a year, good or bad, because of the transfer portal, because of getting guys immediate eligible. And they've done a phenomenal job, and they're well deserving their ranking, and they've got a chance to win the Big 12 because of the way they compete defensively.
So, all right, let's back up a little bit. You mentioned you're at Murray State. Y'all are on this incredible run, and there's a lot of buzz going around. You got Isaiah Cannon. Y'all are winning all these games. You mentioned number 7, Dick Vitale's coming to do a game. How do you kind of like keep a level head with all the hysteria going on? How do you keep the guys engaged and locked in and not get overconfident or complacent? Just keeping the guys level headed, right where they need to be, and approaching the next day just as it comes. Kind of just with all that buzz going around. Kind of just how do you keep everybody focused?
I think twofold. I said number one, man, I had a great accountability group that I met with of just elder people in the community. Now, when I say elder, I just mean not students. I mean my age, old, a little bit older, a little bit younger, that were just accountability partners to me, that I could go in there and close my door on a Monday night, and from 7 to 9, man, we just talk and we just invest in one another, and I'd be able to throw out, hey, what I'm dealing with. And, and it was from a Christian standpoint. And so, but we'd go all over the map. And the one thing that's kind of one of my biggest regrets is, like, when I left to go to Iowa State, one of my good friends, he was like, man, I hate you're leaving, but I'm really excited because you're going to Iowa State, your platform is going to be bigger and you're going to be able to impact more people. And I don't think I did a good enough job of staying true to who I am and what I'm about to be able to do that. And I think that's the one thing, getting back to Murray State, is, those guys would give me great nuggets. And there's a big documentary coming out right now. It's the 10-year anniversary of that team, and the Channel 6 in Western Kentucky, NBC affiliate. They're doing a 10-week, basically it's like The Last Dance, Murray State style.
Is it a stay on your wall thing, or is it
stay on your wall? And like, stay on your wall, like, and everybody can take it different ways, and my guys in Murray and the community, man, they really bought into it. And I think stay on your wall, it's not to go on a preaching rant, but, basically Nehemiah goes back to his homeland of Jerusalem and he rebuilds the wall. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing good things in life and you're having success and you're impacting people, and you're trying to bring a community together, or grow a community, or grow a fan base, grow your players, man, you're going to be tempted. You're going to be tempted through success. You're going to be tempted right now through failure. It's, hey, I'm sitting here, you're watching Iowa State be so successful. You're not there anymore. You're not a part of it. Yeah, that hurts. That you're human, but you're happy for those individuals. What we challenged our guys with was stay on your wall was, hey, you're Nehemiah, you're on this wall, you're rebuilding the wall, you're doing all these great things. But, man, when you're doing great things in life, man, people are going to come at you. Mm-hmm. Women, all right, media, all the selfish ways, you know what I mean? You have to block all that out. And there's a great verse in Nehemiah 6:3, I'm doing a great work and I'll not come down. And, the devil tried to tempt Nehemiah to stop doing great work, and he wouldn't do it. And I think our guys, we had 3 slogans that year, and they all took off. And don't seek honor, honor will find you. And I think that was our first one we really hit on when we started really getting going.
Yep.
Because all the accolades started coming, man. We beat Memphis at Memphis. How about Murray State? They're 2-0 in the FedEx Forum in their career, their school. Beat them 76-72 and 74-72. Matt's done a phenomenal job there. And I'm really proud of him, being my former assistant, and taking off. And he's probably done his better than anybody that's been there. Mm-hmm. And so don't seek honor, honor will find you. And the guys really bought into that. And then number 2 was eyes up. And basically, man, regardless what happens, man, stay focused and on the end game. Stay focused. Don't be turning and looking. Eyes up, eyes up, eyes up. And there's more to that story, but that was our. And then the third one was stay on your wall. And the stay on your wall, that's the one where we gave everybody a brick going in the NCAA tournament, and it really took off. And that's that's what I've got to get back for me, being comfortable to get back to that and really impacting those kids like that.
Man,
so I loved that whole conversation right there. Like the past 2 minutes, everything's been great, but holy cow, you're making me not in a weird way. But anyway, so this is what I was gonna say is I think it's funny because God does do some things where he'll pluck some things that you love out of your life in order to give you something better or to bring clarity. So I was just going to ask, without being fired, do you think you would have the clarity to realize how you want to better use your platform?
Yeah, no, I think, you never want to be fired because Iowa State was a great fit for me and my family. Like I told you guys before, I got 3 young kids. I got a 4th one on the way. Ames is a small college town, beautiful place, great people. It's cold. But my kids right now, my little daughter, she's like, man, when's it going to snow? When's it going to snow? So unbelievable fan base. Mm-hmm. My agent said, either you're going to get bitter or you're going to get better. Is it hard that, to watch people go on and be successful without you? Yeah, but that's life. You know what I mean? How are you going to handle that? And so, like I said, Iowa State, that was a beautiful place. I mean, great moment. I never forget my first year. We beat Iowa. We're down 20. The place is going absolutely, Hilton is special. The people up there are special. It's a great, great place. But I think if this wouldn't have happened, there was some things up there that I knew along the way I needed to get better or I let go to where I know the next time that can't happen. But I think it brings clarity. I mean, like yesterday, I spent the day with my 3 kids at Chuck E. Cheese, and that is tough. Yeah. But also, too, when I come home at night next year, and hopefully I can find a good spot that fits me and my family well, I'll understand what my wife's going through every day. Raising children, the highs and lows, the good, the bad, it can all change in 7 minutes. Everybody says 7 seconds you want to get up the floor. Things can change in 7 seconds to where, 2 days ago, everything's great. My wife's left. We're here. I've got to get them changed. We're going to go to the park, and the dog jumps in the lake. And now I'm trying to clean the dog, and my kids are going crazy. And the next 2 hours, all heck breaks loose. But when I get home, I'll understand being more invested with her. Once we get the kids to bed, because they do a lot. They sacrifice a lot. And, everybody talks about the money. The money's great. No question. Money doesn't provide you peace. It provides you, to me, opportunities, and it provides you a safety net, but it doesn't ever provide you peace. And I think that's what I'm really seeking now, to get to a situation where I can have peace at leading the program, leading my family, and leading those student athletes. But I think, no question, it kind of hits you in the face to where, hey, man, you can't take it for granted. And I didn't take it for granted, but B, what it takes to be successful. You've seen it. Don't you ever dictate from that. And you stay hardcore to where do not let your standards drop.
Mm-hmm.
You establish your standards and you stay true to those standards, because I've seen excellence. I've seen it at the highest level. And so, but I've been able to spend a lot of time with my children, and there's good days and bad days, but it's been awesome.
That's awesome.
Coach, oh my gosh, yeah, that's incredible. I mean, you mentioned earlier kind of the don't seek honor will find you, and I kind of related that to one of the things that I've learned in basketball is that it's amazing. A lot of people now, especially in this day and age, they're seeking validation. They need that instant gratification with what they're doing. Players, if they're in the gym, they got to post it, and it when you get caught up trying to find the validation, trying to find that instant gratification, it's just I bring it back to, again, it's amazing what can happen when no one cares who gets the credit, and too many people often are looking for credit now. And one thing that I've learned there in this coaching thing, you're not going to get the credit until you get it, on down the road. And that kind of hit home for me. Don't seek honor. It will find you if you're doing the right things day in and day out. It will find you, and I think you hit it on the head with that.
Yeah, and I think one great quote I heard, and it's, comparison is the thief of joy. And I think when you replace a guy who's had great success, you find yourself always comparing, yourself to that instead of running your own race. When I go around now, I've went to a lot of practices, and I haven't of late because of the holidays and my wife's about ready to have a baby. I tell the two things I'll tell teams if coaches ask me to speak. Number one, every player, run your own race. I've had kids leave after their freshman year. I've had kids stay 4 years, and, everybody has their own race to run. Don't compare. Your comparison is the thief of joy. Like I said, don't compare yourself because, Ava was, Asa was freshman of the year, right? Okay. Don't compare yourself because Russ was, a 17th pick in the NBA draft after his freshman year. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you're not going to get there. That 17th pick in the NBA draft, okay, he may be out of the league in 2 years. Mm-hmm. But there's a guy, Coach Monte Morris, that stayed 4 years, played a year in the G League, and is a starting point guard for the Denver Nuggets now because knows how to handle every situation. Yep. He knows how to run a team. He doesn't know anything but winning.
Yep.
And you have to be ready for your moment when your moment's called. Mm-hmm. And that's why when you leave, or when you decide to leave or go pro, all that stuff's important, but everybody's got to run your own race. And then number two is you better have a foundation, because you're going to hit storms in your life. Marriage, job, family, health, there's a lot more. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a foundation, a strong foundation, it's really, there was a devotional I read my last year at Murray State. We started off 2-4. We had everybody back. We were supposed to be really good, and we kind of got caught up in the hype. Mm-hmm. And I read this devotional about having a foundation, and I was like, man, we've lost our foundation. I got to get it back. Mm-hmm. And my old boss used to say 30 days you build habits. And so for the next 30 days, we went back to what Murray State basketball was about. We won 25 games in a row. We got into the top 25. Long story short, we were the third team ever to go 16-0 in the OVC. But you got to have a foundation, and it's got to be strong to weather all the storms you're going to hit. And if you're not strengthening your foundation, if you're not putting yourself around people that are going to add and build and strengthen your foundation, then you're missing the boat. And I think those are the two biggest things that I would tell people.
That's awesome, Coach. That's awesome.
Okay, we got to wrap it up, but I got one more question. I'm sorry. So how do you get back your foundation so quick? Like you said, like within 30 days, you had it back.
Well, there were good days and bad days along the way now, but we were working to it. I'll never forget my 7th day in that process, I threw them out again. We had pictures day on day 12. And I'll never forget, my SID tells a great story. Yeah, I just told the Murray Ledger and Times it's probably not going to work today. These guys they're not going to get out of here in time. We have to reschedule. But by the end, we you know what I mean, because it wasn't totally lost. It wasn't. They knew what it was. We just got away from what. But also too, when you have a special player, when you have a guy, and I had some really. I was blessed at Iowa State to have some special ones. Mm-hmm. But when you have a guy like Isaiah Cannon, that's the surefire best player. Yep. And you have a guy like Cameron Payne, that's a surefire best player on that team. Mm-hmm. Everyone has to surrender and say, all right, he's the best player. Mm-hmm. All right. Let me help what his weaknesses are. Let me take care of that. Mm-hmm. And once that team did that, then we were able to really, really, really take off. And it's good for Cameron Payne, right? He refound his foundation. I mean, he's almost out of the NBA. Yeah. And now he's a backup point guard to Chris Paul on the best team in the NBA. Yeah. And you watch him, he looks like he's got his college swagger back.
He does.
He has an unbelievable pace and feel. But all those guys, I think we've got 11 or 12 guys in the NBA or over the last 10 years that have been in the NBA, you know, here in Murray State and Iowa State. A lot of those guys are doing terrific, from Halliburton to Niang to Morris to, you know, Hannon. They're all doing really well.
That's true, Coach. And I think absolutely, you know, everything you've said today, I mean, it completely backs up everything you're saying with the success that the guys who have played under you have had and that they're still having. You know, I think that's absolutely, and I think that's awesome. Coach, you know, hey, we like to have a little fun here towards the end of the show. You want to do some rapid fire questions with us real quick?
Yeah, we'll do it. All
right, okay, here we go. First one. All right, last technical. And what happened?
Oh, man, I haven't had many, man. So I'll tell you one I remember that I know I shouldn't have had. Tenny Valentine teed me up in the Charleston Classic. We were playing Colorado in the championship, and this is a long time ago, 2013, and he got me from across the court, and I'm not a big animated guy anyway, and that's one I remember. You don't think you should have gotten any of them, but that's one that I do remember.
Giving a lot of people some technicals.
So have you been kicked out of a game?
No, never kicked out of a game, and don't think I ever will be. Yeah. I would be hard pressed to see me getting 2 technicals.
I got you.
We did, and we were Huggins. I did watch Huggins get kicked out of a game. We were coaching against him in Hilton and 2019, and I think he wanted to get tossed about 5 minutes. And hopefully he'll get in the Hall of Fame this year. I saw this is.
He's got it, right? He's got it. He's got to get in there.
You hope so. You hope so.
You ever dunked the basketball on a 10-foot rim?
No, I tell you, the closest I've gotten in college, man, you know, at the end, the managers used to always play, and then the players would sit around and watch. And, man, they lobbed one up to the rim, and I caught it and threw it down. But I've never done it on my own. Tennis balls, you know, volleyballs. But the only time I did a basketball, one time they tossed it up, and I went and got it. But that was it. But that was like peak. That was peak Steve Prohm athlete. That was the highest level, though.
That's awesome. All right, okay. You are up 3 at the end of the game. They have the last shot. Do you foul or let it play out?
Man, let it play out. You know, that's in my gut. The only places I'd foul probably is if I was in the OVC at Belmont and I was still in the Big 12 at Kansas.
Yeah, that makes sense. You leaving your best player in with 2 fouls in the first half?
Probably going forward, yeah. You know, depends on maybe how deep I am, though. But, you know, I think the best teams I've had have been, you know, about 7 guys, you know, 6, 7 guys, 8 and 9 are kind of help when needed. But, I think so. I think so. And then obviously last 2 minutes, get them out there.
Yeah. All right. Go for the tie, go for the win.
I'm trying to get the best shot. Trying to get the best shot, you know, from that standpoint. You know, but again, if I'm on the road, if I'm in Allen Fieldhouse and we got a chance to get a good one, you know, to win it, then I would do that. But we're trying to get the best shot and figure out ways to extend the game.
Yeah. All right. Casual or professional on the sidelines?
Casual for sure.
Yeah.
Casual, man. That's my only. I'm like, man, I hope he keeps wearing that. Casual. You know, it's just easier. give me a nice polo and some slacks and I'm good. A little half zip and I'm good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Football does it, baseball, I don't. Everybody's different. Some coaches have went back to it and some have stayed with it. I'd rather just be comfortable and not get so caught up because I take my jacket off anyway and I hate the tie. But I've lost – the one good thing, I've lost a ton of weight and I've gotten back in shape. So I could do professional right now.
Yeah.
If you're out of shape, professional, terrible.
You said baseball, so you said baseball like baseball. So do you want to wear jerseys during games?
No. I'm just saying that they are in their comfort.
No jersey?
No jersey. No jersey. If I did have to wear a jersey, I'd wear like guys do with the long dry fits under it.
Yeah.
Wear the headband?
No headband. No headband.
All right. Early morning or evening or night practice?
Man, I tell you what, the more I've gone around now, never late. From now on, I would never want to go after 1 o'clock. Like, 1 o'clock would be the latest I'd ever want to go now. And the more I went around and watched practices, and I don't know if it's COVID driven because there's so many now internet classes and classes online. Man, there's a lot of people going at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. If I could go 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, that'd be great. I'd be able to drop my kids off at school, go in there, finish up the last little details, meet, go practice. And then you guys, especially if you're in a place where you can go like recruiting, if you're in Memphis, you're in Dallas, New Orleans, Chicago, places like that. Now you can go watch a game Tuesday, Friday, Saturday night really easily if the opportunity presents itself. But I wouldn't want to go 3:30 anymore. Never at night, for sure.
Yeah. All right. If you were not coaching basketball, what would you be doing?
Man, I'd love to be in TV. Game analyst for sure. Studio, I don't know how much I'd want to be in the studio from that standpoint. I think that'd be okay. I like to, go study teams and go watch that. Either that or, scouting NBA, scout. I wouldn't want to coach. I'd just scouting the NBA again just because I like to go watch, and that's been great going to watch and learn and just be around practices.
Yeah. All right. What's your handicap in golf?
Oh man, probably 50. I'm just trying to think. What's 60 on a 9-hole? 20. That's plus 24. It's about 48.
About 48.
But I can't hit the ball. I can't hit it. I'll make a putt on the select shot stuff that we would do.
Yeah.
But I don't play a lot.
Yeah, I got you. All right. Should every team make the conference tournament?
Yeah, no question.
Why?
No. I just think for the teams like in the OVC or the teams that, I just, say low major to, mid-major leagues. I just think the travel, what they go through throughout the course of the year, they deserve an opportunity. Yeah. Now, does it stink when the 8th seed wins the conference tournament? Does it stink when you're 25th in the country and get beat and go to the NIT? Yeah, that stings. Yeah. But that's why I think I like in football how they decide it. Man, they've got an actual committee of people that they're punching some numbers, but they're also watching and saying, "Oh, man, this team is legit. This is an NCAA tournament team, or this is a BCS, whatever they call in football. This is a college football Final Four playoff team."
Yeah. All right, last one: LeBron or Jordan?
Sorry, when it comes to, I'm sorry, I got to interrupt one more time. This is my last interruption. Why is it in college football that the teams that are hot at the end, that's the most important, but in basketball, it's like they really, really take the body of work at the beginning, like into like this huge consideration. And basketball, like football, I mean, it's the teams that are hot that are going to make runs. So yeah. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that's like football because you're like, all right, Cincinnati, they're hoping to goodness they don't lose because if they would have lost late, they'd have been done. To where, Ohio State, if they lost early and they're making that run late, they're going to keep gaining some momentum. And so, that's why I do like, college basketball, they do, take an equation with that. But I think it's good. OVC got 2 teams in a year or 2 ago. The Valley got 2 in. I tell you what, there's no pressure like pressure in the OVC tournament because it's all on the line. Mm-hmm. And we actually won the Big 12 tournament twice, but you kind of know, hey, all right, hey, we're going to be a 3 seed. We're going to be a 5 seed. The atmosphere, that's to say, the atmosphere at the Big 12 tournament is the best atmosphere for a conference tournament that there is. It ain't close, especially if Iowa State's playing.
All right, last one, LeBron or Jordan?
Oh, that's Jordan.
Jordan. Easy, no debate?
No, I don't even debate it, Jordan.
No debate. I got you.
But it is true on who you grew up on. I mean, I grew up, you grew up on Mike. You watched his growth. The thing I miss about the NBA, I single-handedly, I watched the transformation of, all right, Celtics Piston. Bird steals Isaiah's sideline pass. Celtics still going to hang on for another year. Now the Pistons come along. All right, now it's Pistons, Bulls. We don't have that. The one cool thing's been able to see right now is the Golden State Warriors kind of their renaissance, their rebirth to where, they were unbelievable, but now you understand, like for them, they probably thinking, man, winning is hard. Everybody, hey, 72-10 or 73-9, wherever they were, they probably appreciate a lot more to where they're back 23-5, 24-6, whatever they are. But I do miss that. I do miss those battles of like, all right, can we overtake the Bulls? Can the Knicks ever overtake the Bulls? And they never did it. But the Bulls finally overtook the Pistons. The Pistons finally overtook the Celtics Sixers. Those true rivalries. We don't have that anymore. But it's the same thing with, like, I grew up in Northern Virginia, and man, every Monday night, Georgetown was on at 7:00. And you watched Georgetown play Syracuse and Georgetown play Boston College. And you grew up on the ACC, and Maryland was 45 minutes away. And now Maryland's in the Big Ten. I mean, if you just had to ask yourself quick and you just said, what conference is Maryland in? Man, you're probably going to spit out ACC. You know what I mean? Kind of wired in you. I do miss that. I do miss that stuff, but obviously there's an end game to it all, financially, football. There's so many different things to where that's just, I think you got to continue to grow and adapt. And that's just part of it. That's just part of college sports now.
I'll tell you what, when the Big East was the Big East, when all the school, I mean, there was nothing better when the Big East was the Big East. I'm sure y'all have seen the Requiem for the Big East or whatever. I mean, when there was nothing better than that. Seriously.
I lived 45 minutes from Georgetown. My mom would take me to the game and watch them. And I never forget Villanova, Georgetown. The power went out, and we listened on one of them little handheld radios. We listened to Villanova, Georgetown. Wow. National championship game. The Big East was awesome. 9 teams. Boston College. I mean, guys like Mike. I mean, I'm older than you guys, I think. But I'm like Michael Adams at Boston College. Like, I mean, that's going way back. I mean, Maryland, and God, I never forget the day Len Bias died. I ran down to the pool 10:30 in the morning to tell everybody. That was such a huge deal there in that area. He was such an icon around there.
Was he going to be the next Jordan?
I mean, that's what they say. I mean, he was phenomenal. But just, everybody talks about Duke. Like, the best player that I ever watched at Duke was Johnny Dawkins.
Really?
Like I heard they were talking on talk show radio, and I think someone said Grant Hill, and I get it, obviously. But, like, man, growing up watching Johnny Dawkins and that Duke team, like 85, 86, 86, with Tommy Amaker and Dawkins and Mark Allery and David Henderson. Like, I'm going to some, they were fun to watch. And it's just different. It's just different. But the NFL's different. It's all different. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm a Washington football team fan. And that's different. I mean, there's no more RFK, and we've won 6 playoff games in 26 years. And
that's cool. I didn't realize. So you're from that. All right. So my parents' first date was actually at a Washington football at a Redskins game when it was the Redskins back. I didn't realize you had a DMV connection like that.
Yeah, I'm diehard because I'm still getting over last night. We won't have to win the last 3 to get in the playoffs. We're gonna have to win at Dallas Sunday night, and I don't know. I'll give all my Christmas presents back if we can win that game, because I think we can get the last 2.
I
just
love
don't know Dallas.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
But yeah, somebody said I do that little podcast, Field of 68. Not
Yeah.
to put any pressure on you guys, but man, I got this John Riggins autographed jersey in the mail the other day. And I'm like, man, where is this from? So I asked my wife, I said, did you get this for me? She's like, no. And it wasn't addressed from anybody. There's no card in there. So I was like, well, let me just check my parents. No. And then I've got a lot of friends from Murray. You know, everybody kind of goes down to Nashville and establishes residency down there. And so I text all them because the address was Gallatin. Nope. And so Monday night I did the Field of 68, and I'm telling the guys the story off air, like, hey, I got this John Riggins jersey in the mail. And so they ended up sending it to me, you know, as a little Christmas gift. So it's cool. So when I moved to my new location, we're in Kentucky now at at kind of our little lake home for the year, but get that framed and get it up there. But those were the glory days.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Coach, I'll tell you what, that's all we got for today. It was a pleasure talking to you. We appreciate it. Where can you on Twitter, Instagram, or anything? You on social media?
Yeah, just Twitter. And if there wasn't so many good little basketball sites of trying to watch stuff, I probably wouldn't be on it at all. Yeah. At Coach Prohm. Yeah, at Coach Prohm, Prohm. And, you know, the one thing when we were talking about foundation stuff, my wife sent me this. This is really good. I'll finish with this. You know, this one things were tough. It says, for someone tonight, you know, terrible day, not a terrible life. Hard season, but a beautiful story. Awful chapter, but an amazing book. Respect is everything. The day Jesus died was the worst and best day in history. It looked like death, but it gave me life. Your mess matters. So, you know, it's hard. You say it's not easy. It's an everyday fight to kind of keep your foundation, to instill your faith. But it's so important. So I appreciate you guys. Hey, and good luck with your all seasons.
Thanks. Your boldness, your humbleness, everything. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you, Ace.
Yep.
See you guys. See you, Nathan.
See you, Coach.